Welcome to Heart with Michael, featuring your host, Michael Lieben. Our program is designed to empower the bereaved community with information and stories from those who have suffered the most terrible loss. Michael himself, a bereaved father, will be meeting with people from around the world to share and to draw hope from their experiences. And now, here is Michael Lieben.
Welcome to the 11th episode of the first season of Heart to Heart with Michael, a program for the bereaved community. Our purpose is to empower our community with resources, support, and advocacy information. Today's show is Thankful for Being Alive with Chronic Illness. Here with us today to discuss this topic is our guest, Mia Moreno. Mia was born with pulmonary atresia. She had the Fontan procedure, was on ECMO, suffered kidney failure, and received her first pacemaker at 15 years old. Mia is currently in congestive heart failure. Living with chronic illness, Mia has been forced to face questions about her own end of life. What costs would she incur with ailing health, or what are her wishes for her final services? However, she believes life is to be celebrated for the joys and not mourned for the struggles. Mia finds purpose in helping to educate others about CHD. While her family marvels at how she handles the obstacles that have come her way, Mia is glad to be able to stay strong for them and to participate in her own care. She hopes she can help the CHD community with her story and inspire others with her positive attitude. Mia, welcome to the program.
Hi, Michael.
Mia, please tell us about your condition and what it's been like growing up with a chronic illness.
So I have pulmonary atresia. My first surgery was 3 days old. It's been a little rough because the first time I remember dealing with it by myself was at 15, because I don't remember anything before that. Thank God. It's been a little rough.
Why do you think you don't remember anything before 15? Just because of the trauma? Or?
Yeah.
Are there other people in your family who are dealing with chronic illness? Who's been your guide, and how do you develop your philosophy of life?
In my family, it's just been me. I mean, everybody's had their struggles, like diabetes and stuff that they've had to maintain, but nothing.
Let me ask you differently. When my daughter was born, she was the third child, and so we had other children running around the house who were fine. Growing up with a chronic illness, how's that affected the rest of your family while you were growing up?
Well, it's just me and my sister. She's older. So to me, she got the short end of the stick when it came to attention.
Really?
Yeah, I feel that way, because there was a lot of times where, she had things going on, and, my family was a big help in taking care of us, because I have 10 aunts and uncles, so we would go, stay with them or visit with them. Well, I went to the doctor. My parents went with me. So she had a lot of time with our cousins when she was younger.
Do you feel that she ever resented that?
When I was younger, yeah. Now it's more like, hey, we got to take care of this. We got to stick together because it's just me and you.
Well, that's very interesting, because I find that my children now are, as adults, having been through those years of taking care of the youngest, as adults, first of all, they're very, very close friends. And secondly, there are some of those marvelous adults I've ever seen. Do you feel that your sister is a better person in some sense for having grown up with you?
Yes, she is. She'd come out of her way for me. She would do anything for me. She'd go to bat for me. She would do whatever she had to. Just like I'm one of her kids, she would help and take care of me.
I find that happens often. When we were taking care of our youngest, our older children, which were only, a year and a half and 3 years older than her, we had to grow them up faster, and they had to be bigger sooner in order to help take care of a girl who was developing and growing, and then things that I could no longer take care of, my daughter had to do for her. And I think the result of that is that today, as young adults, they're some of the most marvelous adults I've ever seen. I think it's true also that the family is somehow strengthened by this sort of adversity. Would that be your experience?
Yes, very much so.
Can you give me an example, something that maybe your sister did to you?
Well, my vein popped while I was at home and I was by myself.
Oh my gosh.
And because I'm on blood thinners and, different meds, I was bleeding really badly. And
Mm-hmm.
she literally lives down the road. And I called her, "Hey, where are you?" "I'm at home. You need to get here." And she was there 10 minutes flat. And she's like, "Okay, wait, let's wrap it. Let's go. We're on our way."
Well, when was this? This is obviously what you were in children. When was this?
Um, it was probably the first time I moved out of my parents' house.
Wow. So you stayed close, but you were out. I get that.
Yeah.
What was it like? A typical day. You're a young teenager. You're living at home. You have your issues. Your sister wants to get on with her life, I would assume, and yet she's somehow helping you. Your parents, I would imagine, are all around you. What's a day
Yeah.
like there?
Keeping up with doctor appointments, trying to keep up with my sister, because by this time she had her kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to see them do extracurricular activities like softball and jujitsu and, spending time with them, going back to my family's house.
Were you allowed to do extracurricular activities, that sort of sports and things?
No, I was never allowed to do any of that. So when we were younger, we had a dance flickoroco group
Mm-hmm.
with all of my cousins. My aunts were in charge of it. I was a part of that, but I would only get to do like one or two songs, and then the rest of the day, I can't do the rest of it. It's too much.
Yeah. Did you feel though that there was an attempt on the part of the family to include you whenever they could?
Most definitely,
Oh yeah.
because we would spend all summer together. At my aunt's house, we'd go to her pool, we'd go bowling, and she'd come out of her way, to come to the others, to come pick us up, to pick up everybody of our family, and we'd all go. And we'd spend countless days during the summer at her home. And it was fun having
Let me
to do that.
let me ask you something. Between all of your family, your older sister, your parents, your aunt, your cousins, obviously a lot of people around you all the time. Is there someone you can point to and say, "Why my role model. This is the person that really stuck with me. This is the person I really wanted to be with."
See, and when I was growing up, I had my I call her Tia Chita, but her name was Teresa. Um, and she never had any kids of her own. She was the one who always took care of us. All of our needs, our wants, she'd try and help us, take some of us to school, run us around. So when I was with her, we would go to I would help her teach catechism on Saturdays. And then I would stay with her Saturday night so I could go to church Sunday morning and then come home Sunday.
So she was the one really guiding, and she was the one who was really sort of out there for you. Okay, we're going to have to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll be talking with Mia about how to get prepared and what's more important about end-of-life issues.
Hi, I'm John Montez of NBC's hit a cappella show, The Sing-Off. In a cappella music, it takes a team to create a sound that many will enjoy, just like it'll take a team to help my good friend Miles Schweitzer, an HLHS survivor. Let's help Miles fulfill his dream and make a big enough sound to bring awareness to congenital heart disease. Please visit him at gofundme.com/The Miles Project. Miles with the Y. Again, that's gofundme.com, The Miles Project. This is for Miles.
You are listening to Heart to Heart with Michael. If you have a question or comment that you would like addressed on our program, please send an email to Michael Lieben at michael@hearttoheartwithmichael.com. Now, back to Heart with Michael.
Welcome back to Heart with Michael. Today we're talking with Mia Moreno about preparing for end of life. Mia, before the break, we were talking about your aunt and how she was important in your life and that, among other things, she would take you to church. How has being Catholic affected your decision-making when preparing for your end-of-life issues?
End-of-life issues, it's affected it greatly, as far as end-of-life. Things that have to be done, like last rites and garments and colors and, certain things because I'm not married or I'm single or don't have kids. So things in that sense get to change when and the life comes, because usually it's black, but because I'm not married, I get to choose colors. I get to wear white. So it has been, a lot of changes, because I thought, oh, well, it's just going to be gloomy. It's just going to be black. They're going to cry. No, well, now that I get to change everything about it, like colors and, if I want to be cremated or buried or certain music, it changes everything.
Do you find that there's a certain feeling of empowerment when suddenly you have control over that sort of issue?
Yeah, it definitely is empowering, because, I mean, when I was 15 and I had to deal with it myself, I became very selfish in the sense that I became severely depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't ready for that.
Mm. Is that when you first figured out really that, this is a limited term?
I was at the point where I was ready to quit.
Mm.
And because of my faith, I'm not allowed to do that. So that affected me.
Why do you think it's important to be prepared? And are you in some way thankful that your illness has given you the opportunity to be prepared?
I am grateful for my illness because I get to prepare. I get to prepare myself. I get to prepare my family and say, hey, I know it's a sore subject and you really don't want to talk about it, but we got to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Have they become more open to talking about it?
at first it was like, no, let's not talk about it. It's not going to happen. You're not, my dad always tells me, a father is not supposed to bury their child. I'm supposed to be buried first. And he always tells me that. So at first he was like, no, that's never going to happen. I'm going first. So it's to prepare them. At first it was like, no, we're not talking about it. And now that we're, seeing, hey, I'm in heart failure, things have to change, we were talking about transplant, but we're not currently anymore.
Why is that? Are you off the list, or were you never not on the list? What's
I
the
was
story?
never on the list to start. And it got explained to me, there's only a certain amount of transplants they do, and there's a certain amount of people that need it, and it doesn't really balance out.
That is an unfair truth, I think.
Yeah.
We were, in some sense, lucky because we were on the other side of that equation. When my daughter died, we were able to donate, of course, not the heart, but we were able to donate a good deal of organs, and we saved maybe 4 lives that night. So one of the things that I still think about is the night that we were crying. 4 families were celebrating.
Yeah.
And over the same, or more or less over the same thing. And that was a difficult moment for us, but we felt that we were able to turn death into an opportunity for life, and we thought that was really important. So I understand that your parents don't want to talk about it, but I think at some point, reality is that reality is, and these are really difficult issues. So how did you get them to eventually come around and discuss it?
I got to the point where I was like, at 18, I was ready to go to the doctor by myself. So when all this started happening, I was going to the doctor by myself, and they were like, no, let's go to the doctor with you. So I was like, okay, you could come to the doctor with me so you can hear it. Because you're not going to listen. You're not going to take my word for it.
Right.
So we all went to the doctor, and we had this conversation of, I'm in heart failure. I may need a transplant. That may not happen. And after that, it was more of their eyes were opening to the fact that this could happen. It's a possibility. And I mean, at first, like any parent, they'd be sad. But
I could imagine that they would be, yes.
But they're still, egging me on not to give up either.
Well, that's good, and that's what they're supposed to do. But it seems to me that somewhere along the line, something that you're the one who's egging them on. You're the one who's giving them strength, and I really appreciate that, because I think what you've done here is you've taken your own situation and you've changed it in a way that you are somehow empowered by what you have and know that you have to do what you have to do. And that's not usually the way you see it. I think your father sees things the way most people do. It's not right to lose a child. Well, you know what? It's not an issue of right or wrong. Up until, maybe 100 years ago, up until better medications, people, even in countries as forward as the United States, were having 9, 10 children, so that a few of them would survive into adulthood. I mean, we've artificially reduced infant mortality, and we've made people live longer when we can. And so we've gotten used to this idea that it's not right, but it is the way things happen, I think. I think what you've done is you've turned the tables a little bit, and instead of your parents being the ones to sort of pull you over the line and encourage you, I think you're the one who's become strong for them, and I think you've encouraged your parents. And I think that's a tremendous thing for you to do, because it really gives you that kind of strength and power to continue and to think about your future as it is and to do what you believe needs to be done. It's the kind of thing that a lot of people they don't really know they can do until they're faced with it.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to take a hard break. And when we get back, we'll be talking with Mia about how she copes with her chronic illness with such a positive attitude and what advice she may have for others.
Tonight Forever by the Baby Blue Sound Collective. I think what I love so much about this CD is that some of the songs were inspired by the patients.
Many listeners will understand many of the different songs and what they've been inspired by. Our new album will be available on iTunes, Amazon.com, Spotify.
I love the fact that the proceeds from this CD are actually going to help those with congenital heart defects.
Enjoy the music.
Home Tonight Forever.
Heart to Heart with Michael is a presentation of Hearts Unite the Globe and is part of the HUG Podcast Network. Hearts Unite the Globe is a non-profit organization devoted to providing resources to the congenital heart defect community to uplift, empower, and enrich the lives of our community members. If you would like access to free resources pertaining to the CHD community, please visit our website at www.congenitalheartdefects.com for information about CHD, the hospitals that treat children with CHD, summer camps for CHD survivors, and much, much more.
Did you know that most men suffer from beard itch, ingrown hairs, and a dry face, all because they're not using the right shaving tools? At woodrazor.com, we sell handmade heirloom quality badger hair brushes that exfoliate the skin, open the pores, and stimulate hair follicles, which gives a gentleman a closer, more comfortable shave and a clean face. Visit our website, woodrazor.com, where you can learn more about men's skincare and check out our professional shaving tools. A perfect gift for your man, built to last for generations. That's woodrazor.com.
You are listening to Heart to Heart with Michael. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Michael's program, please email him at michael@hearttoheartwithmichael.com. Now, back to our program.
Welcome back to Heart with Michael, a program for the bereaved. We're here with Mia Moreno, who is sharing her thoughts on being thankful for being alive with chronic illness. In this segment, Mia will share with us how the laughter in her life has helped her cope with the daily struggle of her survival. Mia, what's the best tool in your arsenal to help you cope with having chronic illness?
Definitely laughter.
Tell me about that, because we love to hear about that here.
Like my sister and her kids, they entertain me. They do funny things. They make jokes. It's, they keep me going. Definitely.
Do you ever drift off into the dark humor of places where other people would think they don't want you to go? Would you make jokes about that?
Yeah.
Feel free to open up and tell us something that other people might have thought was inappropriate, but that had you in stitches.
Okay, so on Facebook, memes, right, go around. So there's a meme that's, as a police officer, and he's arresting a heart, and he's like, oh, it's because you are having cardiac arrest. And I'm like, that's funny. And no one gets it.
It's okay to make jokes about heart patients in your house. I like that, actually.
My mom's like, that's not funny. I'm like, yes, it is.
Do you find freedom in that kind of humor? Do you think it just opens up? If you've been holding back about something else, does a good joke like that just sort of let everything open up?
Yeah, it definitely does. It's just one of those things that, some people think it's bad, but I'm like, it's, if it makes you laugh, take it and run with it, because laughter at the end of the day is what's making you happy. And just go with it. You can't, just like life, roll with it. Just go. It'll be fine.
I absolutely agree with that. I have been known to say some of the worst things in the absolute most inopportune moments. I think anybody who works on this program also knows that. But I find it, for me, it's a self-defense mechanism. I hide behind humor when I'm really nervous about something. But I also find that it opens up not only myself, but the people around me. If people are being ginger and walking carefully around me so as not to say something that might upset me, or maybe not say something that would upset me about my daughter, I just go right to it. And once they get there and relax, they can be themselves. Do you find that happens to you a lot?
With strangers, I find that they're more conscious of what they say and how it's said. My family, we just get to the point. We're 29 years into this, going on 30. They're like, no, we're not going to sugarcoat it. It's fine. Let's just.
Well, you'd expect that. No, so you'd expect that from people who are inside. They sort of get rough around the edges, and they're fine with that. But it's always interesting to watch new people walk into the situation. Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. The United States now, we're in the holiday season, or at the beginning of the holiday season, and America ushers in the holidays with Thanksgiving. So what's your advice to others to feel a sense of thankfulness or even gratitude, dare I say, no matter what they're facing right now in their lives? What would you tell people?
Right now, going into the Thanksgiving season, just be happy with what you have. Yeah, it gets tough. Most of us with chronic illness, got medical bills, and we're struggling. And it's a lot to deal with at times. It's even for our families, if we're, even us as patients, yes, it's a lot, but we forget the people around us, that are looking inward, that are seeing, what we're going through. If, they're seeing that we can do it and we're striving.
Do people really have an idea, though, what you're going through? Do they really understand it, do you think?
My family, I try to be as open as I can with them. Every time there's a doctor appointment or something happen or I end up in the hospital, I definitely message them
Mhm.
and keep them informed. Um, I try keeping everybody up to date.
Well, yeah, but I guess I'm talking about there's two levels up from that. There's your family, and then there's friends and people close to you who know you, who know what you're going through. They know your situation. Do you think they really understand that? And before you tell me about them, when you meet somebody new, how does it come into the conversation? Hi, my name is Mia. I have a heart disease, or just it slowly works in.
Sometimes it even doesn't come up.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, like I have the scars, but no one actually goes around and says, "Hey, you know, what's that from?" You'll catch them staring, but sometimes you'll be like, "What are you staring at?" And it's because I'm not ashamed of it.
Hmm.
These my scars are, something I've dealt with, something I've gone through. And if I can sit here and talk to you and say, "Hey, this is what I've gone through," and I can help you understand it, I'll be as open to you as I can be to let you know, hey, there's a lot more going on.
Well, most of us as parents of children with heart disease always refer to them as battle scars, and we were always kind of proud of it. The scars defined who they were, and there was sort of a window to their soul was also a window into their hearts. And we were always tried to be very poetic about it. But do you think the people near you who've been around you for a long time, objectively what it's about, is this something that you think you can share? I mean, fully, can anybody really get inside your head on that?
Fully
Yeah.
inside my head,
Yeah.
probably not.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe the one person or a couple of people that come close is my sister and my mom, but completely, no. I mean, it definitely helps when I go to the doctor and they say, "How are you feeling?"
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell them, I can express, how I'm feeling, but I mean, people just walking by, I don't think they would completely understand it. Like, even because they say, "Oh, it's an invisible
Hmm.
disability." People don't understand that it's a hindrance sometimes.
Hmm.
Certain things you can't do like anybody else would do. I can't go out and have a drink. I can't go out and smoke a cigarette. I can't do anything that a regular person or a teenager would have done in high school. You
Hmm.
know, Most of those experiences, well, let's just say it, I've never had those experiences
Hmm.
because I was always told, because of what is wrong with you, because of your condition, you can't do like most can.
Right.
Some of them see it as disability, and then some of them think you're full of it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Uh, I think the world breaks down into two kinds of people now. The people who think you're full of it, you can just leave them alone and ignore them. And some people who try to be sympathetic may say silly things, but they're trying very hard to empathize. And I think you should keep those people close. And I think that you encourage them every day by being close and by wearing a smile and by being humorous and by being who you are. And that's a really nice thing. And with that, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to end this episode of Heart to Heart with Michael. So again, I want to thank Mia Moreno for sharing with us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We hope her story has brought some hope to you who are listening. And please join me or the Heart to Heart with Michael team in Pal Talk every week following our program. I'll talk with you soon, and until then, remember, it's okay to breathe.
Thank you again for joining us. We hope you have gained strength from listening to our program. Heart to Heart with Michael can be heard every Thursday at noon Eastern Time. We'll talk again next time when we'll share more stories. If you would like to continue today's discussion, please join us right after the program in the Hug podcast chat room on Pal Talk.